As the villagers heard the scream, they rushed into Madu's compound, but found his lifeless body with blood on the floor. Once upon a time, in a village once known for its love for one another and peace within the community, there lived a farmer named Madu. He was known for his inability to have any good harvest. People mocked him that he was cursed, and any land he farms on becomes infertile. His wife, Ako, a village seamstress known for her skillful gift of turning any fabric given to her to a beautiful piece. People were surprised that a lady as beautiful and skillful as Ako could marry Madu, who had nothing except a piece of land left by his late father. Ako was loved by most and was also hated by a few due to her lifestyle, but most of all, she was loved and adored by her husband, Madu. Some believed her husband, Madu, doesn't deserve a woman of such beauty and talent. She was very hardworking and highly gifted. Madu had always been scared that Ako might leave him one day due to his inability to provide for her. But Ako cared less about that. He was genuinely in love with Madu. He was funny and loving too. Madu had always wanted to get Ako pregnant, hoping having a child with her would make men not to look at her anymore and make her also not to leave him for a richer man. A year into their marriage, Madu had a bountiful harvest. Everyone was surprised that his infertile land he had been cultivating for the past years could make such a bountiful harvest. Madu became wealthy. He bought more lands and seedlings. Ako got pregnant and gave birth to a baby boy, Elara. Having his baby boy made Ako change. She gained weight and devoted all her time into raising his son. Most times, whenever she passed, people whispered about her weight and how she had lost herself while raising her son. Madu started complaining about her weight. He became arrogant towards her. One evening, as Ako was leaving her shop, her neighbor Oge told her she can't bear the shame and embarrassment anymore on her behalf. She told her that rumors have it that her husband have decided to get a new wife because he can't stand her anymore. Ako thanked her and told her to focus more on getting herself a husband than listening to rumors. That made Oge very angry at her, and she vowed to deal with Ako. That night, Ako and her husband had a very big fight about what Oge told her. Madu said lots of hurtful things to Ako and how she had turned herself to a pig since she gave birth by eating too much. Ako told Madu that she lost herself beating their child and all he has done ever since was to mock her. Madu told her to prepare herself that he would take a chieftaincy title soon and a new bride afterwards. Ako was sad and devastated as how a man that worships the ground she walks on before had completely changed into a monster and can barely look at her since he became wealthy. Ako later discovered that the woman Madu wants to marry was Oge. Ako went to her mother and poured out her heart to her. Her mother consoled her and promised to talk sense into Madu. As promised, Ako's mother talked to Madu to treat her daughter right. Madu told her that all her daughter does is to eat. She explained to Madu that it was due to their son that her wife had gained a lot of weight. She promised her that her wife would bounce back to herself soon after breastfeeding. Madu told her it's too late, that his mind was already made up and he has fallen in love with another woman. Ako couldn't bear the pain of losing her husband to another woman. She pleaded with Madu not to take another wife, but he refused. In the next 2 market days, prepare yourself, we'll be visiting my in-laws, Madu told her. Ako burst into tears. She thought of ways to stop her husband from taking a new wife. A lot of thoughts rushed through her mind at the same time. She left very early in the morning to a distant village known for its gift with great spiritualist. Ako met with an old great spiritualist. She told her all that was happening in her home and how she had traveled this far to seek for a lasting solution to her problems. The spiritualist agreed to help her. She told her that the woman her husband wants to marry used a charm on him, and she wants to avenge her for what she did to her. Ako told her she only exchanged a few words with her. She didn't know Oge will go this far to hunt her. The woman gave her a substance to add to his meal and bathing water. She told her there would be consequences if she didn't adhere to the instruction, as she was advised to add a little at a time. Ako was glad and agreed. She took the substance without waiting or listening for the consequences. A few days later, after Ako's plea to Madu not to marry another bride proved abortive, Ako decided to add the substance she got from the spiritualist into his food. She prepared Madu's favorite dish. As she opened the substance, all the content poured into his meal. She was told not to add too many at a time, but uses it whenever she feels the charm is wearing off on him. Ako was scared it might kill him, but the fear of sharing her husband with Oge outweighed her fears, and it was the eve of the marriage ceremony. She also remembered that the spiritualist never said anything about the charm killing him, so she decided to serve him the food. After supper that night, Madu and Ako discussed at length for the first time in a long time. She told him she had accepted and she supports him to get a new wife. Madu was surprised at Ako's sudden change of heart. The next day, Ako woke up to see Madu sweeping the compound, cooking, and playing with their son. She couldn't believe her eyes. Madu walked towards her. He knelt down and started apologizing to her for the way he had treated her ever since he became rich, and she gained weight after the birth of their son. That evening, as Ako was sitting outside relaxing, Madu was washing her clothes. Oge walked in angrily. "You foolish man, why didn't you come to pay my bride price as promised? I was only doing you a favor because you're rich." She insulted Madu, who ran like a child to Ako for protection. Ako became worried why her husband was behaving like a child, but she couldn't fathom why. The next day, as Ako woke up was about leaving for the market, her husband came out carrying her bag. "Madu, please give me my bag. Are you not going to the farm?" she asked. "I will when I drop your bag for you at the market." At first, Ako didn't notice anything, till Madu made it his responsibility to do all chores and carry her bag for her whenever she's going out. Ako became worried about Madu's sudden behavior, but she knew she was responsible for what was happening to him. As days passed, Madu's behavior became worse. She barely allowed Ako feed herself. He became too clingy to her. Every night, she won't let Ako sleep. Whether Ako wants him or not, Madu will always want her, and if she refuses, he will start crying like a child deprived of his meal. Aku knew she couldn't continue like this, but how can she escape her clingy husband to visit the spiritualist for a solution to the problem she created for herself without him making a scene? One morning, Aku told her mother to come and watch over Madu. Her mother was curious as how she was expected to babysit a full-grown man. Aku lied to her mother that Madu wasn't feeling too well, that she wanted to visit the herbalist for some herbs to help him. When her mother got to their hut, he met Madu crying on the floor. She was surprised. He told him he only wanted Aku. Her mother was surprised that the man he met the other day screaming about getting married to another woman is wailing like a child. She knew something was wrong. Meanwhile, when Aku got to the spiritualist, before she could explain the reasons for her visit, she told her she knew what happened, and she warned her there would be consequences. She told her there's nothing she could do to save her mother. Aku burst into the spiritualist, moved by pity as how broken Aku had become. She told her she could help her, but it would be very risky, as it will either make him mad or he will return his senses to when he wanted a bride, and he would despise Aku for the rest of his life. Aku told her she wouldn't want to take the chances. She left heartbroken. When Aku got home, she burst into tears. She told her mother how Madu's decision made her to seek for a solution in a dangerous place, and now there is no going back. Her mother told her she could go ahead and reverse the course and allow him marry another wife, or learn to live with him the way he is, to her own advantage, by turning him to her slave while she gets a young man to enjoy her life with. After all, he's behaving like a child and he is so much in love with you. He will do anything you ask him to do. Ako thought about what her mother said and decided not to reverse the course. Madu became a slave in his home, while Ako enjoys her life by doing whatever pleases her. As time passes, Madu had become overly dependent on Ako, behaving like a child and unable to function without her. He became possessive and clingy, making Ako's life unbearable. Despite her regret, she chose to live with the consequences rather than risk making things worse by attempting to reverse the curse. The villagers mocked her and called Madu a hopeless man that was blinded by love. Some believe that Ako controls Madu with a charm, but there is no proof of that. As Ako tried to adjust to her new changes, Madu's condition became worse. She could barely leave his side without him running after her, like a child running to follow his mother to the market. One early morning, Aku woke up to go to the market. As she stepped out, she saw Madu behind her. She was upset and she shouted at him for being so foolish and clingy. She blamed him for pushing her to visit a spiritualist in order to stop him from taking a bride. She went on to say that she wished he would die and stop bothering her, that she's tired of taking care of him and at the same time raising their son, since Madu had decided to become a child. Madu was hot as he heard what Ako said. He went inside, took a knife, and stabbed himself. As the villagers heard the scream, they rushed into Madu's compound, but found his lifeless body on the floor with blood. Ako ran inside and carried his son and vanished into the thin air. She traveled to a faraway land where no one would recognize her and started afresh with her son there. The villagers searched for her, but to no avail. After a year, they called off the search. Nobody in their village knew what became of her or where she was. Aku lived to regret her actions, and she wished she walked away from Madu rather than having his blood on her hands. This story reminds us to be careful of the choices we make in moments of desperation, as they have lasting effects on our lives and the lives of people around us. It also highlights the importance of communication, empathy, and understanding in relationship, as misunderstanding and lack of communication can lead to devastating outcomes. Thanks for watching. Kindly tell us what you think about this story in the comment section. Thank you.